It seems every few years you hear a word for the first time, and before you know it, you suddenly can't escape it. It's everywhere. Every conversation, news report, TV show, etc. A little while ago, it was the word synergy. It was a relatively obscure word from the 17th century until it quickly became the buzzword in professional offices and corporate management meetings across the nation. Oftentimes, these words are annoying. Well, at least to me personally. A word like eatery. Whatever happened to cafe or diner? For a while, it seemed every place that served trendy food decided to call itself an eatery, which then gave rise to the even more annoying and unfortunately widespread word foodie to describe someone who likes food. I happen to love food, as Father Jeff can attest to, but I just call myself Chris. Foodie sounds completely ridiculous to me. And please don't even get me started on the latest inescapable word phrase, social distancing. I hear the moans. Well, there's a new word that seems to have come out of nowhere and is now everywhere. I first heard it just after Thanksgiving in a news article. It was a headline which read, "Houston police investigate after missing influencer found dead on side of road." I remember thinking, influencer? But my curiosity wasn't piqued enough to click on the article. Fast forward only a few weeks, another headline. Emily Mitchell, pregnant parenting blogger and Instagram influencer, dead at 36. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, I have no idea what an influencer is, but it's got to be something dangerously illegal. Seems like being an influencer leads to untimely death. Again, I let it go, annoyed partially at my own ignorance, admittedly, but not enough to find out what it meant. Well, that all changed this week. I was reading a sports news article, and one of those disruptive video advertisements started playing right in the middle of the text. It was a video of someone's mouth opening to a bright smile, adorned with block letters that read, "See how influencers whiten their teeth." Well, that pushed me over the edge. I didn't click on the advertisement, but I finally looked up the word. I quickly discovered that the internet has a lot to say about influencers. It wasn't, as I first suspected, a term that had to do with drug dealers or anything dangerously illegal. MediaKicks.com defines the word this way, quote, "Influencers are social media personalities with loyal audiences that they earned by sharing content that inspires, entertains, informs, and connects them with their followers. This direct line of communication empowers influencers to generate social conversations, drive engagement, and ultimately set trends amongst a receptive and socially savvy audience." Another website, Wired.com, adds that influencer culture, as we know it today, is inextricably tied to consumerism and the rise of technology. It's a shorthand term for someone with the power to affect the buying habits or actions of others by uploading some form of original and often sponsored content to social media platforms. Influencers, people consider influencers more akin to a close friend than an advertiser or paid endorser, and this gives influencers an air of authenticity that is rarely seen in commercial spaces. I guess you could say influencers are really paid to manipulate people into buying certain products or behaving a certain way. I know that sounds cynical of me to say that, but I don't think it's cynical to say that the rise of influencers is filling a gap where something is missing in our lives. That's not me setting up a rant against the evils of modern materialism and consumerism. Instead, I see out of control modern consumerism as the symptom, not the root cause, of a more serious problem. As a human race, we don't really know who we are. Modern humanity is, and has been for some time, suffering from an identity crisis. My friends, hear me out. Let me explain my claim. With the rise of convenience and technology, we have a lot more time on our hands than any other time period in history. And we as modern humans have much more time to think, to relax, to seek entertainment. We have way more time to be with ourselves and to look in the mirror. And for the most part, we aren't quite sure that we like what we see. We're not even sure of what we're supposed to be seeing. The inability to answer the age-old personal questions of who am I and who am I supposed to be have currently led us into crisis mode. We're not even aware of it. Around the time we're in middle school, we start to search for our own identity. And then usually something simple like our parents recalling how they chose to name us makes us wonder, if my parents named me Anthony instead of Chris, how different would my life be? From there, it's a short hop to, wow, how different would my life be if I was born to someone else's parents? Then, what if I was born in a different state or town or country, a different time period? Then who would I be? This doesn't take much to start getting into identity crisis territory, wrestling with who's the real Chris Pinto? What if I was stripped of my family, my language, all of my environmental influences, even all of the DNA and hereditary traits that factored into my being from the very moment of my conception? Who is and what does the real soul of Chris Pinto look like? We get into our 20s, our 30s, we go through a period of searching. We take long road trips with friends, get away from living with our parents. We discover love. We search for our own life. We get distracted, detoured by struggle, failure, by success and comfort. But do we ever really find the answer to the question? Or is it just buried by the responsibilities of adulthood, or deemed no longer important when replaced by the duties and experiences of the life we live? I would argue, my sisters and brothers, that even if we stop consciously thinking about it, the question never really goes away. And subconsciously, we continue to gravitate toward things that help us answer the unspoken question. And unfortunately, we become susceptible to be snared by false idols, false identities, false ideologies, false politics. Because we feel belonging to a certain group might help us know who we are. And sometimes we feel completely being individualistic and expressing ourselves to the extreme, showing the world who we really are as a way to pretend that we actually know ourselves. Joel Osteen and other prosperity gospel preachers gain large followings because they make us feel personally fulfilled with their warm and fuzzy words, even though they're completely devoid of substance. We're suspicious of celebrity endorsements because we know they're being paid to like a product. But social media influencers, hey, they just look like Sally and George next door. They must be authentic. If I buy this product they're telling me about, it really will help my life. I'll fit in, look and feel good about myself. I gotta wear this hairstyle, wear this makeup, wear these clothes. I need to adopt this set of beliefs in order to belong. Seriously, friends, we're on a deep and subconscious search and we aren't finding the answer. The good news is, literally, the good news is that we're missing the answer because it's right in front of us. It's the good news of Jesus Christ. Our true human and authentic individual identity is found in Jesus Christ, the Son of God and the Son of Mary. The scriptures and our Catholic tradition show us this over and over and over again. And the transfiguration of Jesus that we just heard proclaimed from Mark's account is one of many profound examples. Peter, James, and John accompany Christ up a mountain. And, quote, he was transfigured before them. His clothes became dazzling white. Moses and Elijah appeared, signaling both Christ's role as the final and most important prophet, but also signaling this moment as a profound one in God's relationship to humanity throughout history. Although we rightly know him to be fully human, Christ's full divinity is also being revealed. The apostles are naturally frightened by this incredibly close-up and personal meeting of God and man. but they also know that in that moment they're getting a glimpse of where they truly belong. In spite of his fear, Peter says, "Let us build 3 tents." Mark, who in reality was a close associate of Peter, undoubtedly has written exactly how Peter told him he felt at that moment. He hardly knew what to say. They were so terrified. But what he does say by offering to build the tents is that although it's terrifying, he somehow, perhaps subconsciously, knows this should last for a while. It's where he feels he belongs. Let's make arrangements to stay in this amazing, glorious, yet terrifying moment where God and man meet in person, and the breathtaking glory of God the Father is revealed to us in Jesus Christ. Peter feels that this moment, although just a moment in time, needs to be memorialized to last forever. But after God the Father speaks, things return to normal. And the only thing Mark records Jesus saying after this incredible event is, "Don't say anything until after my resurrection." Because this glorious moment is only a glimpse of the future glorification of Jesus and our intimate participation in it. It can't take place until after our redemption through the suffering of the cross and the triumph of Christ raised from the dead. My friends, this is our destiny, which in turn is our identity and our life's meaning. And it can only be realized through Jesus Christ. We're made in the image and likeness of Jesus Christ, made by our Creator God to be loved by Him, to love Him in return, to love one another, and to be loved by one another in return. This is the authentic truth of Jesus Christ, and my Catholic Christian friends, it is our truth and everyone's truth. We discover this over time. There aren't any shortcuts, and will only be fully known after a time of trial before our glorification in and by the Father, just like what Jesus revealed to us by his transfiguration and experienced himself firsthand. My sisters, my brothers, I pray that we all fruitfully seek Christ, and in doing so realize our identity, our purpose, and our destiny. May God be praised.